Hey everyone, back again with another Unity Asset Store video. This one's for Maze Magician version 4.0. So I just want to touch on a few things that have changed with Maze Magician. I have a new context menu so you can add the generator to the scene. It's still down here, it's in the resources folder now. And it'll number them for you if you want to add extra generators, just a way to keep them organized. Now, you'll notice the inspectors changed quite a bit. A lot of that is just formatting, but some of it is definitely function. And I'm going to put together a maze really quick here in this video, kind of a brief overview of where we're at. If you're on the Unity Asset Store, you'll notice that this will be the first video, and then there will be a series of videos going into each aspect of maze generation with my package. And the old videos will still be on YouTube, and I'll leave the old version of Maze Magician up on the Unity Asset Store for Unity 5.3.4, I think. This will be going out for 5.4, but it's radically different. There's a few features that are completely missing. I've deleted a couple scripts and added some different supplemental scripts, so I'm not going to go too deep into the details. If you're grabbing this fresh, it's not going to matter to you. If you are, just look at the videos here on the Asset Store page. If you're somebody who's updating, you can update the package if you don't like the changes, or if the features I've added and changed you don't need, but you need the specifically saving and loading, which I've modified so you can't save and load the entire maze map anymore because it was becoming out of hand. It was too hard to maintain, especially with the new Plaza generation I've added, which we'll get into in a different video. It just wasn't maintainable. I had to cut it. So let's get into it. Let's make a maze. First things first, you select your maze, either 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. You can set these gizmo settings. So you'll see here when I start inputting values, it'll show where the maze is going to generate in the scene. That's all fine. We can use a custom seed value, set it to whatever we want, or we can just let it be random. We can leave it be random for now. I'm going to set the maze width and height. Actually, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's put this in the 50s, and you'll notice that these values are automatically adjusting. That's just because it doesn't let you enter any values that the algorithm can't handle. It adjusts them one way or the other. And we'll leave the maze position at 0, 0, 0. That's fine. If it generates there, these are 5. This is, if I go into my example prefabs, you can see I've set the height here to 25. And these are 5. Now for wall pieces, we're going to want this piece and this piece. Floor pieces, this one and this one. And let's make some plazas. So plazas are just a kind of a catch-all term for areas that the walls will be broken down, kind of like a clearing in the maze, and then your prefab that you've set up will be instantiated. So if you look here, I've already set up this prefab. It's basically just a collection of cubes, cylinders, and spheres, just kind of show what's going on. And it has this Plaza prefab script. And you'll notice that I've got the center in the bottom left of this area, and you'll see why once I generate the maze. It's just for mathematical purposes. If we put it here, then it's a little bit more efficient to calculate where it has to go, and a little easier to keep consistent. So I know that this is 5 maze tiles by 5 maze tiles, and I'll go into a way to set all this up easier at a later date. And it's going to go 1 meter off the ground, so that pivot's going to be pulled 1 meter off of the floor, which I know I'd have to set those cylinders sit on the ground because of where the pivot points are. If I set it to a fixed position, these numbers are in tiles, so this is 5 tiles wide. I can move it across or up and down the map, and I can spawn it in a fixed position every time. So if I want the center of the maze to have this unique garden and fountain, I can do that. But for now, we're just going to leave it random. And let's drag this prefab right there. And let's scatter 13 throughout the maze. And then there's this placement attempts number. Basically what that means is no two plazas will intersect because you don't want these objects to intersect each other. So it'll attempt to place a plaza. If it happens to be intersecting with something, it goes to the next attempt and so on. So I think 5 attempts is usually pretty good. If it can't get it on the 5th attempt, there's probably isn't a great place to put it, or just luck of the draw, and it won't get placed. So I might actually only get 5 plazas or 6 plazas, or I might get all 13 depending on what our seed value does for us. And let's add the details in the maze. Some good old torches. And these ones I believe are 0.5. So 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And then let's bring those down on the ground or up to the top of the walls there. So what this is going to do is scatter these torches throughout the maze on the walls. They're going to be placed on the wall. So we could set them at a static height. So torches are all 1.5 meters off the ground throughout the maze, and we can change the frequencies. So these are the odds that any given wall will have a torch. I'm going to put it at about 0.2. So roughly 1 in 5 walls will have a torch. Min horizontal offset. Let's just set this to as big a range as possible. Yeah, let's drop a floor exit in the maze. So this will be one tile in the maze that will be different from the others. And let's put it in a completely random area. We could put it in the center third or outside third of the maze respectively, but I'm just going to put it in any old area. So then for exit pieces, let's take this exit cube. So this is going to be like replace the floor piece, and then this kind of fake obelisk thing will be jutting out of that exit. So then your player would interact with it and teleport away or whatever, for example. And I'm going to make a braid maze because I'm sadistic. And basically what a braid maze is going to do is it's going to delete all the dead ends in the maze. So you'll never be able to just walk around with your right hand on the wall, because you could end up going in circles. And let's just call this the maze. Allow one to do an editor I'm not going to use. If I did, I could generate and then hit Control Z to go back. I could generate a couple and hit Control Z to go back. But one of the issues with undoing the editor is that it uses a lot of RAM because each maze gets stored in memory. So it's usually not worth it unless you're just playing around. And eventually you will just have to close Unity to clear the undos for memory, since it's holding each maze you've generated in memory. And this error is telling me I forgot to put something in. I'm guessing it's the plaza. Nope. Oh, other details, because I've got this null detail here. And let's just put floating cubes throughout the maze. And these are 2 by 2. Yeah. So 2 by 2 by 2. And let's get them all from 1 to 10 off the ground. And then let's just make this variance as large as possible. And we'll put them roughly every 10th spot on the floor. And you can use this particular slot to scatter NPCs and stuff too. So we could save these settings for the most part. The wall pieces, I can't save the prefabs into like a text file. I can't save these into a text file either. So all these details, the walls, the floors, the plaza, none of that will be saved. What it will save though is like all these little settings here, all the checkboxes you have checked. So I can save those as a settings file, or I could load in different settings that I've already had. So if I save something and I pass it to a coworker, they can load in what I'm working with. But we'll still have to coordinate on which prefabs we're using, and even the order of the prefabs matters. Like if I switched these two and loaded their settings and we had a static seed value, then all the colors would be flipped in the maze, which wouldn't be what you want especially in a multiplayer scenario. So let's generate a maze. Let's get this plaza out of the way here. So you'll notice generated lightning fast, and the plazas have been eaten out. There's these little torches all over the walls. This pivot point is in the center of this bottom corner that the plaza has taken up. The floating cubes have been scattered throughout the maze. really fast. I mean, we can do the same thing with two-dimensional maze. Don't need to save that. If There we go. And we can generate similar things in 2 dimensions as well with slightly different settings. So there will be a series of videos. I'm going to try to go into detail on each section of the maze generation process, on prefab prep, on Plaza prep, that kind of thing, just to kind of explain more what's going on. So if you're interested, I hope you pick up the package or watch the rest of these videos and have a fantastic day. As always, feel free to contact me using the information on the Asset Store page or somewhere in the description of the YouTube video. If I remember, I'll put it, or I'll link to the Asset Store page and then the contact information is there. Have a good one.